I'm going to ask a massive favour from you guys. If you like and subscribe to this channel just right here, right, and after you've watched this episode, please go and watch more. Go and watch more shorts. Go and watch everything else, and like and subscribe. The more it gets out there, the more my message gets out there, because I've helped 4 people already, and so many more, and I want to get my message out there. So like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Let's get this message out there. Thank you.
Hello guys, my name is John. I host Inspiring Change. I have my friend today who is Kai. She's a virtual assistant, and we are going to talk about her life, her story, how she started her business. So Kai, how did you start this business?
So I thought about it for a couple of years actually, and also when I started to start my business, it was actually in July 2024 last year, and I spoke to my close friends and family about it. I went traveling, and ever since then, I just wanted that freedom. I wanted that control in my life to be able to do things I want to do, and also on the side helping other business owners with their businesses, with social media, with the processes and systems and things like that, all remotely.
Okay, cool. So what inspired you to go further with this?
My nan inspired me for this because me and her were very close, but until she passed away early last year, it kept me going. It was a bit of a distraction for me because obviously with grief and things, you kind of need a distraction, and that's when I started with Digitize with Kai, and I never really looked back. And because she knew about it, like I know she wants what's best for me, and she wants me to be happy. Because the jobs I was doing, I was working in care, like NHS, community, learning disabilities. I was doing that for 6 years, and during COVID as well. So it took a toll on me when my nan got ill suddenly. And ever since then, I never really looked back, and I'm glad I did what I did. And now I've got a business, and I help other business owners.
Cool, cool. So how is your previous employment helped you to do this in your own in your work today?
So obviously, with working in care and being a virtual assistant is quite different because with being a carer, you're more hands-on and things like that. And being a virtual assistant, it's more like being online and doing admin or doing the process for people, doing social media for them. And I think it just gave me the confidence to be able to help other people, especially who have mental health issues like myself. And also I do specialise in helping neurodivergent business owners as well, because I am diagnosed with autism and ADHD. So I felt, and the fact that I worked as a carer in the learning disabilities, it gave me a bit of a better understanding of how other neurodivergent people are feeling at the time, and be able to give me that knowledge to help others in that sector.
Okay, so tell me a bit more. How do you help other people with neurodiversion? Do you go the extra mile with them? Do you help them with other things?
So I help neurodivergent clients help their business like so I help neurodivergent business owners with their business that works for their brain, and they just sometimes it just has needs to have the understanding of someone to help them with it, to be able to go through the long process of it all. And yeah, that's how.
So yeah, so you're really right there. You know, we have things that, you know, like we all have our issues, and neurodivergent people are more clever. They're more smarter. I'm not saying not a non-divergent person isn't, but yeah. So what if I was a fly on the wall, and when your nan inspires you to do your business, what would what how would you make how what would you say to you now? What do you think she'll say to you now?
I think she'd say that she's really proud of me of how far I've come, especially through all the trauma I went through with that process, and also during that time my mum got sick as well, which I had to pause my business for that. So I think my nan would be very proud of me and quite inspired herself that I was able to make this a successful business and be able to get clients and help them in a way that is good for me as well.
What do you find that drives you with the pain? Does your pain drive with purpose?
The pain I have, it will never go away. But my business was like my purpose. It was something I wanted to have, and I want to have that drive, and I do have that drive to be successful in my business, because I want to be able to be flexible with my time, to be there for my mum when she's sick, and being the only child as well. There's no one else I have relied on. It's only just me and her. So I want that flexibility. I want to be able to work when I want to, and have, like I said, have that flexibility around it.
What would the under Kai? What would the 3-year-old or 7-year-old Kai say to the Kai now?
Oh God. I suppose around that age, I think they'll be like, wow, like, wow, you're a business owner, you're self-employed, you get to do it abroad or wherever you are in the world, pretty much. And because since a young age, I've been living in different places. Like, I lived in Crete, which is a Greek island. I lived in the States for 1 year, and then I lived in England, obviously, for the most of my life. And I've always had that drive to travel, and it was something, I've always wanted to travel as a little kid. So now,
So tell me about a bit more the States. What made your family to move over to the States?
So my dad is American, so obviously my mum wanted me to speak English, not Greek. When I was little, very little, I was speaking Greek fluently, not English. And obviously my mum wanted me to have that communication with her parents, my grandparents, in English, so that we could understand each other. So we wanted to move to the States because my dad had family there and he knew the process, and she had nothing left in England anyway, so she thought to be in the States for a year. And then unfortunately after that year, my mum and dad had a divorce after that. So, and then we came back to England, and that's all there is to it, really.
Wow. So you've basically been on a massive journey from that stage to now. So now you from what I know is that you're settled in your life at the moment. You've got your business and everything else. So there's one question I do want to ask though. How persistent was your nan for you to do this?
My nan, obviously, she was 80 odd years old. She didn't know much about technology and things, but she knew how much I struggled with my mental health at the time, especially during healthcare, working with mental health patients, people with dementia and things like that. She knew how much it had affected me, especially after COVID. And she wanted what's best for me, and that's why I kept switching around all the time. And I knew I wanted to work remotely, I just didn't know what at the time. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I just wanted out of the care system. Because like I did want to work in care forever. Obviously I enjoyed it at the time, but sometimes some things come to an end. And I just wanted, I know my nan kind of strived me to do it, because she was like, what have you got to lose, sort of thing. You've got to try. Otherwise you're never going to know. And like my mum says the same thing. So, and I know both of them are proud of me for it and actually taking care of myself. Wow.
So your nan was really persistent with you to do it. She really had gone that far. But also, you've got the support. I always say that to my other friends that the people around you are the ones that support you in anything.
Yeah.
They're behind you all the way. So the friends that you've made so far, what would be when's your mental health? How did that take place? How did the care system affect your mental health?
So unfortunately, at the time I was working in the care system, I was in a really bad place. I was in a really toxic relationship at the time, and unfortunately it turned into a spiral. My mental health was just as bad as I could imagine. So I had to take time off work for months on end because obviously I worked with mental health patients and I had mental health myself. I couldn't justify how am I meant to help them if I can't help myself.
Yeah.
And if I'm struggling, how am I meant to do that, you know? So during that time, working in care on and off, there was times where I'd be not working, there'd be times I will be working, and then I'd have a bit of a mental breakdown. And it was really hard, you know? It was something that I wish I never had to go through, but that's what made me the person I am today.
Okay, cool. So, what's one thing that you could say to someone today that would give them the strength?
I suppose what I'd try and say is like keep going, like carry on, like push through it, because the fact that yes, it's hard right now. Anyone that starts a business on their own, it's going to be quite foreign to most people because you're so used to the 9 to 5 corporate norm, or you're so used to going into work and like now, like being self-employed, you're not under anybody else, you're under yourself, and you can make that decision to do what you want to do. So yeah, like I encourage anyone who wants to start a business and things, just keep going. You're going to have bad months, you're going to have bad days, weeks even, because I've had that as well. And it's learning how to prioritize things and not avoid burnout, you know, because everyone burns out. And obviously in the neurodivergent world, burning out when you're autistic, ADHD and so on, it hits so much harder, and I don't think people realise it. So you just got to keep going. You might doubt yourself, honestly, people do, but you just got to keep going.
So tell me a bit more about that. How does it, for you, how does it burn you out in a way?
I guess with me, with my autism and ADHD, they kind of go against each other. So obviously with the ADHD, like I get really excited and really hyper. Like for example, if I got a new client and things, so I have like loads of ideas rushing through my head, and then the autism side is like nitpicking at certain things that need to be done, and it's too much for that side. So then I end up crashing out, burning out, because I've ended up doing so much in one go. It could be like 5 hours straight, I'd be hyper focused. It can be a good thing, but for me personally, I limit myself to hyper focusing for 2 hours. Otherwise, if I go beyond that, I will burn out, and it won't be. Sometimes it could be days, sometimes it could be weeks, but luckily it has been days for me. So
Okay, so so would you say to someone that is started a business to protect their energy when from burnout?
that is so important. I couldn't say it more enough. Like it's so important to know that you need to think of yourself, and you need to be able to look after yourself whilst running a business, because if you don't, you're going to end up crashing out and resent it, you know? So try and obviously sometimes avoiding burnout cannot always be avoided, especially if you've got personal things going on. But that's sometimes you just need to step back. Your business isn't going to go anywhere. And I think people think they're a failure and they're not. You know, I personally, for someone who has burnt out, I'm going to truly admit that I do burn out sometimes. And to be quite honest, that like it is normal, and you're only human, you know. You can't tackle everything in one shot. You have to do what you're able to do in that time, you know. So
Yeah. So when you say that burnout is a key, I totally agree with you. You know, you can't just sit there and go, okay, cool, right. I'm going to do this today. You pace it out in the week.
yeah, like I said, everyone's different. Everyone's mind works differently. It's like, for example, with you, you could deal with something better than I can, but we both are autistic. Like every neurodivergent person is different. Even neurotypical people are different as well. It depends what you can do and how you can do it, and you've got to find out how to limit yourself sometimes. like with myself, when it comes to my work and my doing my thing. For example, on Fridays, I do as a CEO day, so it's my stuff I'm sorting out, like content. I'm going through my CRM. I'm going through other bits and bobs like emails and stuff, and meetings even with clients. So I keep that day to myself. If I've got nothing going on, then it's a day off to me, because I think you need that space to be able to do stuff for yourself, because when I do become more busier, there's going to come a time where I'm not going to be able to have a day to myself.
Yeah, so you mentioned about failure. So failure, what do you think the failure is?
To be quite honest with you, failure to me, this is just my personal thing. I suppose failure means like you've not done enough, or you've not done what you needed to do to reach that goal. That's just my opinion on it. I can't speak for everybody, but that's my view on that.
Yeah, so did you think failure is a way of being imperfection?
Yes. I'm pretty much a perfectionist when it comes to myself, especially like with content and things like that.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, when you first start out, you think everything you do is not good enough, but until for a different person, they probably think your content is amazing, it looks sick, you know. So because I had this conversation with another VA, and she loved my content I was posting, and I was like, really? And she was like, yeah. And then I'm looking at another VA's posts, how aesthetically pleasing, as you say, how nice it looked, and I liked theirs, but I didn't like my own. So
do you think that sometimes we just go, oh, I don't like that, and someone else likes it?
yeah.
So we touched on that. So on that perfection, so imperfection, what do you define into perfection for you?
I think imperfection, to be quite honest with you, it's, I suppose, imperfection. I suppose it's just not like certain bad things about you. Like, you just nitpick at different things. You know, this is a bad thing. You're a bad person. Like, in my opinion, that's what that is.
Yeah, so it's a thought process, isn't it? Yeah. You think that you think that you can do the right thing and then the wrong thing, but at the end of the day, I just look at it and going, when you know you're going to be that person. The person that you are is the person that you've been through all your battles, the battles that you've been through. Now, anyone can go through hardship at any point, but would you agree that there's only way is up?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like
Totally agree.
yeah. So when the relationships, when we're going to hit onto relationships now, when you like a new friend or an actual new relationship, how do you? What's the first thing you look at? Do you look at like, oh, he's a great person at the first instance, or do you just wait till see what happens next?
I suppose I try and get to know them first, what their mannerisms are, what their body language is. It takes time for me to get on with somebody on a deeper level anyway, but in general, I get along with anybody and everyone.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm going to think you're a good person, or at least okay, but don't trust me to tell you your secrets, sort of thing, you know. So it takes time for me to form that bond, whether it's a friend or relationship.
Yeah, so you're totally right there, but I would say, you know, that there's a study showed that to get to know somebody, you have to spend 200 hours with someone, and that was a study that was shown, and it goes down from, like, you could be in an acquaintance, that could be like 40 hours for someone, but it depends on who that person is, and you know, the reason that we spend so much time with our loved ones because we know how well they are. You know, when we get when we have a partner or something, we are able to look at how much time we spend with them, and it could be, it could be serious, it could not be serious, and that they turn around and how they think. So in hindsight, yeah, you're right. So if someone was dealing with wanting to start their own business, a bad relationship, what would be the first thing that you would say before they even start that relationship?
I suppose think about what you want out of the relationship. Do you want someone to be open-minded? Do you want someone to be charismatic? Do you want someone to be extroverted or introverted, or want them to do the same things as you? Do you want to think how to think about space, and also think about what their goals are in a relationship setting? Like, do they want kids? Do they want to get married? Do they want all those sort of things?
Yeah.
Those are things you need to look through, because if you and that person aren't on the same road, you're not. There's no point, you know. So if, for example, if one person doesn't want kids but the other one doesn't, someone's got to make the sacrifice, and whether you want that or not, it's not going to work. Like some couples have, like, you know, some people like, for example, one person doesn't want a child but ends up having children for that person. But then sometimes it's the other way around. They won't have kids because their partner doesn't. It works sometimes,
Yeah,
but not for everybody.
yeah. Yes. So I totally agree with that. But would you say that, you know, having uncomfortable conversations and checking in with your partner on a, I don't know, monthly, daily, weekly, however many times you want to do it, because do you think that strengthens the relationship further?
I think it does strengthen the relationship, and to some extent, it really depends on the personality of both partners. So, for example, like with my partner, I speak to him every day. If there's something on my mind, I will tell him. It's not an all day occurrence, but like, I do have bad days. I sometimes have bad weeks. I will tell him. Yeah, so I think it's important. Communication is really important, because if you don't tell them how you feel, or if something's going on, how are they gonna help you?
Yeah,
Do you
definitely.
know?
Do you think the most biggest that thing that relationships just fail is on communication?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
because what it does, if you don't have that communication,
Yeah.
it's like a slap with a wet fish in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to build that communication, just so you can understand each other, what your needs are, what your wants are. Is there something like your partner's done wrong that you haven't told them about? You need to be open with them, because if you're worried it's gonna cause a rift or a situation, then they're not the person for you.
Most definitely, you know, but obviously you have to look at where you can draw the line. You
Yeah.
know, if like you said, toxic relationships, you know, let's hit that subject as well. Right, you know, going into gaslighting. Someone gaslights you, that is a kind of like, oh, what have you done? You know, and in the form of abuse, can be any type of abuse. You know, but it depends on where they hit on it. So, would you say that a person can be very deceiving, not looking outwards when they're in it?
Yeah, I've experienced that myself. When I was in that relationship, I suppose I saw it, but I didn't want to admit it. Because I was that stuck, I just accept it for what it is. And I just didn't, I had the fear of leaving that person. And I just didn't know what to do. I was trapped. They had control over me. They even like nearly ruined me and my mum's relationship because of it. And when you're in it, it is different when you're the person dealing with it versus the person on the outside seeing it, because I've seen it from the outside as well, but I can understand both point of views. Once you're deep in the thick of it, really, it's hard to see from it after that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, you know, learn a lesson there. So
Definitely.
So how has that changed the way you view relationships in any aspect, friends, in any way that, or in a relationship as a romantic relationship?
I suppose I've had toxic friends as well, to be quite honest, as well as toxic boyfriend, partner, whatever. And I think compared to the two, it's something that I just don't wish on anybody, really. I really don't. And how I deal with it after that, I really try and be mindful of like how they're treating me. Is it something I feel comfortable in them treating me? How I want to be treated? It has to be reciprocated. If I'm going to be kind to that person, I'll do anything for that person. I kind of expect it to be reciprocated. I'd want them to help me in my time of need. I'd want them to be there for me and be at least listen to what I have to say. And obviously, I'm so grateful for the friends I have now. And obviously, I have a loving partner. I've got my mum. I've got really good friends that understand me. They know how I am, and they want the best for me, you know, and they will listen if I need it. So
Yeah, so
it did take some time. It really
Yeah.
did. Like that was 6 years ago that happened, and it's been a long process since then.
so that journey took a while to you to process then.
Yeah, because it affected me that bad, to the point where, you know, as young to early 20-year-olds do, like going out, drinking and things, partying, all that. And that was all a blur to me after that because of my mental state. And yes, unfortunately, during that stage, just I consumed into a completely different person, you know. And since I stopped all that and I cut off toxic friends, I cut off the toxic boyfriend. Ever since then, I've become a better version. I came back to me, to myself. So
Do you feel more comfortable in yourself?
I do. There is going to be days where I'm like, nah, like I don't, like
Yeah.
oh, I don't look great or I don't feel good today, you know. But it's not a constant thing. Like obviously, I'll make a joke saying like, oh, like I look like a bowling ball, you know. I'll make a joke, you know, and obviously my boyfriend tells me off for that, but I just think it's funny. But that's just me. But I don't mean it like literally. But I just like taking the piss.
You
So.
just like taking you like taking the mick out of yourself.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So what so all of that, what would you say to one person that is obviously struggling in let's go for business first. What would you say one thing that's struggling in business? What would you say to them?
What I'd say is, what's your idea? Why are you doing it? And how you're going to move forward from it? How you're going to help people, your audience, to be able to choose you for the services or the product you're offering and things like that. How is it going to make a difference to them? That's something you need to think about. And also why you're doing it. People are nosy. They want to know what you're doing. They want to know behind the scenes. They want to know your story as to what happened, why you started this business in the first place.
Yeah. Do you think that your story was from your nan?
Yes.
Yeah.
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 And I am fully open and transparent with that because she is the reason why I started it. You know, obviously at first it was a distraction from grief, and then ever since then I never looked back. And you know, I know she would want me to keep going and not give up. So
I don't think you should ever give up.
No.
You've got a heart or soul, Kai. I've only known you for a few months, and and how it happened is that we was in a business meeting, and it was like, no way,
Yeah.
and it was just like how it happened that way, and I say to everyone, people can make friends,
Yeah.
and I just like, yeah, friend,
Exactly.
because I knew, I thought I'm pretty sure we should have a boyfriend by now, so it was like, and I kept it to that thing, and we've become good friends, and
Yeah.
we've been out for meals and stuff, and what would you say to what would you say to someone now from that you've known me a few months? What would you say? What would you say to someone that's had that you're getting to know someone as a friend, and you're dipping into their life and how they've been for their life?
I suppose like trying to get to know somebody on a friendship level, I think it does take time, but like sometimes you have like certain traits or you have certain interests. Like obviously with both of us, we have a business, you have your business, I have mine, but we're on this similar level but different. And that's something we can talk about and be open about with each other and things like that. So obviously, when there's a topic of conversation that we're both interested in, or I'm like two other people are interested in, I think that's good. So yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you, Kai. You've been an absolute star. Guys, we'll be wrapping up for now, and I hope to see you in the new year. Merry Christmas to you all, and we'll see you in the new year. Stay safe.